Have you seen the videos on here talking about real vampires in New Orleans? Do I think that they are real? Well, my name is Rachel. I'm from New Orleans, and I'd like to be the first to tell you that not only are they real, but I was personally abused and manipulated in a New Orleans vampire cult. Are the actual immortal blood-sucking creatures from literature real? I don't know. But what is real might actually be worse. New Orleans has always had a prominent vampire culture, ranging from casual Anne Rice fans to full-on sanguine cults. And one of the most well-known vampire groups in New Orleans is an absolute machine for narcissistic, emotional, sexual, and financial abuse. You may recognize this, but you may not be familiar with Father Sebastian, the man behind the saber-tooth cult / endless night vampire balls that take place in New Orleans and other cities around the country. As a young autistic person, I found myself drawn to the goth community, looking for individuals with shared interests. I unfortunately fell for Father Sebastian's manipulative tactics and became exposed to some of the disturbing practices that take place inside of his cult. Misogynistic rituals and claims of psychic vampirism. Unfortunately, I was groomed into his inner circle through sexual advances, breadcrumbing, love bombing, and other narcissistic abuse tactics. Some of the abuse and downright bigotry I witnessed included things like him telling me about these dinner parties that he had, wherein if you were invited, you had to have sex. It wasn't an option to say no. And him telling my Indigenous ex-husband and my Indigenous children how Indigenous people deserve to be colonized because they were uncivilized. There are countless other examples of racism and misogyny that I could recount probably in other videos on their own. Now, I know I'm just one person, but there's been many allegations of sexual abuse and other things against Father Sebastian over the last 30 years, and his response has always been to double down and try and discredit anyone who speaks out. When I began to realize the degree of absolutely heinous behavior that was normalized in Father Sebastian's cult, I reached out to other women who were involved and quickly realized that I wasn't alone in my experiences. When I tried to walk away from this, once I figured out who he was and what was going on to its extent, I was threatened, and another one of his inner circle, my now former business partner, tried to sabotage my small business. There's a lot that could be said, and I'm more than open to answering any questions and describing more of this in detail in other videos if anyone wants to hear it. Like I said, many of his victims have tried to come forward in the past, and they're almost always silenced by his sycophantic followers. Again, I can't speak to whether mythical vampires walk these streets, but the fake ones, complete with comically sinister fake names, are just as predatory and have a talent for manipulating and abusing and grooming women who are just looking for a place to belong. I am speaking about this now because I know that it has continued to happen, and I cannot live with myself knowing that if I stayed silent, he could continue to hurt other people.